So, hello and welcome to the second part, where I would like to talk a bit about some dates, about a bit of a history, also how this is connected with Ephraim, how this is connected to my person. Now, first of all, I would like to say that I do not want to step on anybody's toes. Okay, so my heart is not set, to fight with anybody, except one person, and this is the Pope. I told this in the beginning, all right, because the Pope is the center currently of one world religion. He made claims, we see this in the presentation later. And he holds the whole world in the grip and basically is telling lies. He's telling lies, okay? He's placed himself in the temple of God and proclaims himself as God. He's infallible. He is infallible, okay? Now, in order to resolve this issue, first of all, I'm saying, I'm very, very thankful that today we have the internet. I don't have to go to various places. Because of my past experience, I know that that there are life-threatening situations, and I do not intend to die, not at all, but to really come into my fulfillment of the things the Lord put on my heart. Now, that said, my heart is really directed towards a peace in Jerusalem, the kingdom of peace, the Messianic age, where Jerusalem becomes a praise unto the world, and where the Torah goes out from Zion and the word from Jerusalem. Now, that means, first of all, I really believe, that only one person is true. He's really true, and this is God Himself. He speaks the truth in His word, and every man is a liar. Every man is a liar. All right. So in the moment, even I say something, I urge you, please check these things, take notes, ask me, come in contact with me. Please register for members.ephraimrising.tv. I set up like a little social community. There are not that many people on there yet, but I hope it will become more, because what I'm about to tell you now will put you under, some, I don't want to say stress, but you have to make some sort of a decision, okay? Who do you want to believe? Do you want to believe the Pope, or do you want to believe Ephraim, aka Ulf? So, now, we have coming up my birthday on 25/5/16. I turned 49. And when you talk about history, you have always these dates in history where you look back and say, oh, this happened, this happened then, and this happened, and this is, of course, I did also for my birthday. And what I found out was a confirmation of basically everything what I did before. Now, if you go now, why is this thing important? Now, if you go, so I was born 67, in the year 67, in the year where Jerusalem became a free city again, on the 25th day in the 5th month. All right? Now, if you check any Bible, this is a German Bible. Here's my last name. So if you check any Bible and you go into the beginning, how everything started. How did everything start in the beginning? There you find only one combination of verses. In the beginning, and it says in Bereshit 25:5, and if you take a look at chapter 24, you will find out that the Chapter 24 actually has 67 verses. 67 verses. All right. So you really have, 67, 25, 5, according to the verse numbers people agreed upon in the past. So it's not, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. All right. Over the centuries, you had Jewish theologians and Christian theologians. One people had like scrolls, the other had like books, and then they didn't know what they were talking about when they're discussing with each other. So they agreed upon a certain verse count, And the verse, 25:5 in Bereshit says that Abraham gave everything he had to Isaac. Everything he had to Isaac. Right? So the transfer of everything what Abraham had on promises, the covenants God made with him, the land of Israel, the yearning for a city and everything, he transferred on 25:5 to Isaac. Not on, but that's the verse. So now, the interesting thing is, of course, Abraham was 100 years old. And every 100 years, we have this date coming up. Just in calendar, every 100 years. 1767, 1867, 1967. So every time we have 100 years of a generation of Abraham, every 100 years we have this, the verse in quotation, Abraham gave everything to Isaac. Now the big question, of course, is who would this be today? Who would this be today? And if anybody comes out, how is there any possibility to claim that? How is this anybody to claim that? Now, the interesting thing, of course, is that we know that Isaac later on gave everything he had to Jacob, Israel. Right? Now, even Jacob, disguised himself as Esau, and there are like things to handle. But nevertheless, Isaac gave everything he had to Jacob. And then Jacob, in chapter 48 of Genesis, so Bereshit 48, in Bereshit 48, Jacob gives everything to Ephraim. All right? So now, the very, very important thing is to sink this really in, that Ephraim is not Jewish. He's not Jewish, and if you take a look in chapter 49, you will see that all the brethren, they didn't receive any. Jacob prophesied about them. It says very clearly in the first verses that Jacob prophesied over his sons what will happen to them in later days. And concerning Judah, he says, you will always have a lawgiver, and you always hold the scepter of the family until Shiloh comes. So and then, of course, the big question, who's the Shiloh? Who is the Shiloh? Who is coming? Now, my claim is that the Shiloh has to come out of Ephraim. He has to. He has to come out of Ephraim, because it was Ephraim who received the right hand of the blessing. And Ephraim today is absolutely, definitely not Jewish. Otherwise, everybody would know about this. So if the Shiloh would come out of Judah, people would know about it. But because Ephraim got lost, totally lost, got divorced, and so on, there was a long time where he was the lost sheep. And then we find in John 11:54 actually that Jesus, after he nearly finished his ministry, he left Judah because they unfortunately wanted to kill him. Like Joseph, they wanted to kill him, they wanted to sell him, they wanted to sell this stuff out. And then Jesus said, okay, he went away from Judah and he went into Ephraim, where he stayed with his disciples. Ephraim, and this is the last time Ephraim actually occurs in the Bible. So you have 164 times Ephraim is mentioned in the Old Testament, but only one time in the New Testament, where you find Jesus leaving Judah and going into Ephraim. Okay, that's the only time. Now, so the exchange, what happened to Isaac? We know that Abraham, all right, wanted to sacrifice Isaac. So he went to the place where today the Hachabait is, where the Dome of the Rock is, on this place, and he wanted to kill Isaac, because he believed that if he would kill Isaac, that God will raise him up from the dead. And because he was faithful to this, and Jacob, in his gospel, James, said, okay, this is, faith has to go together with works, all right? This was the justification of Abraham, that he did not hold back his son. But then, of course, Elohim came in and said, okay, listen, Abraham, don't kill Isaac. Don't kill him. I see that you are faithful. This is your righteousness. Don't kill Isaac. I see now that you did not withhold my son. So when Jesus said, before Abraham I was, he meant that he is the substitute. He is the substitute for Isaac. Because Abraham did not hold back his son, God, of course, did not hold back his son either. All right? And he proved, that the resurrection of the dead actually really happened. I mean, this is the whole secret. Now, I know that a lot of people, especially from the Jewish side, they think, that the New Testament is an anti-Semitic book and that it talks about everything anti-Jewish, but that's absolutely not true. It is absolutely not true, but you need, of course, like with everything else, you need the right spirit so that you are able to understand this, what is actually written. And if you read with an open mind, without the historical baggage you have, if you read the New Testament, it's a very extremely Jewish book. Of course, Jesus was killed as the king of the Jews, and unfortunately, and Peter said this, the man in Judah actually sold Jesus, to the Romans. To the Romans. Why? They said, no, we don't want to have this guy as our king. We want to have Caesar as our king. And this is how it's today. This is why they're still going to Rome and to the Pope, in order to make a deal about Jerusalem. Okay? Now, none of this was really, I became aware of this like last year. I told you I got a call from Dr. Jürgen Bühler, 1st January, exactly to the day where I was 7 years under tribulation, 7 years. And then I found out, I said, oh my gosh, what's happening here? And there is a combination, all right? So we had these combinations of blood moons with the Sun Eclipse in the middle. With the Sun Eclipse. So the Sun Eclipse was on March 20, all right? And then we had the first blood moon, for that season on Passa 4/4. And in the middle, here's Sukkot. I don't know exactly, I think it was 28/9. And here we have in the middle 25/5. All right. Now here, I got the call on 1st 15. Okay, 1/1/15. And I received a vision of the Lord. After 7 years of tribulation where I thought, okay, I'm not going to make it. I really thought I'm not going to make it. I got this call and I really, really woke up. And within a twinkling of an eye, like a bit later, I laid for 3 weeks on the floor. The Lord gave me a vision which nearly knocked me out, and I was again away for 3 weeks. And you can, people who have been around me, I've been in Berlin, at the seat of Satan, not far away. The people around me, they said, oh my gosh, Ulf is now, he's now lost. No, I was not lost. I basically received such a burden of the Lord that for me it was impossible to keep in. All right. So between first and the Sun Eclipse, I actually called various people and I told them what I received, and I called first Ephraim Frank, actually, told him a bit about him. I called Scott Diffendorfer, I called my partner Michael Salomon in the States, and I called Jürgen Bühler. And the only thing I wanted to do is actually to talk with people about what I received. I mean, it's not unusual. If you take a look in the prophets, people do unusual stuff and they see unusual stuff. I mean, if you take a look at the first chapter of Ezekiel, if you take a look at the revelation of John, how did they see this? So I received a similar vision about the last days, and what can I say? It involved me. It involved me in a thing I broke down. I said, how can I do this? How can I do this? So I put together some documents. I sent one document to my partner, actually, Michael Salomon, because he's a movie guy. And I thought, this thing is so cool. When this is slowly going out, this will rock the world. That's number one. Number two, I sent one to Abraham Feld, who didn't really know what to do with this, and I sent one to Ariel Cohen Aloro, because he says he's also a priest. Okay, and his big issue is, how is it possible to bring Jesus back into Judaism? How is this possible? Because Judaism today is absolutely anti-Jesus. But whatever you believe or not believe, over 2.5 billion people believe in Jesus, and he is Jewish. Okay, and he is Jewish, and the Pope says, that he actually does not know the truth. So when all this thing happened, I found out that on my birthday, in 1967, it was 20 days. It was second Pesach on the one side, but it was also Christ's Blood Day. Christ's Blood Day. Back then, holiday, which was done 703 years old, was founded 1264, and in 1967, after the Second World War, after the Kingdom of Vatican City came into power, 1929, the Catholics took over, and regulated basically all the, the legal structure of the New World Order, if you like. As a service company, they came up with the Second Vatican Council because of the reality of Israel. Suddenly, out of nothing, Israel became reality again. 1948. We had this in the first part. Okay, and because of that, of course, tons of church doctrines about replacement theology and that God is finished with the Jews and all this stuff, became suddenly obsolete, and they had to make new laws. And one of the new laws they made on 25/5/1967, and it's in direct relationship to Isaac and Abraham and who owns everything. Okay, because it is about the secret of the Eucharist. Unfortunately, I have this here only in German. All laws of Rome are actually in Latin, so you have here the Latin texts. All right, and it says that the secret of the Eucharist is indeed the center of the holy of all holy liturgy. It's a center of the whole church life and of the whole Christian life. And it's an order for any Catholic to look deeper into this secret. Anybody, okay? So anybody who is a Catholic, he has to look into the secret, because it is a secret, because that whole thing with the Eucharist is that the Pope actually, the papacy, they made a doctrine that, that the priest is the only one who is able to bring Jesus out of heaven into that little cookie and into the wine, and that you have to believe that you eat the flesh of Christ. You have to believe it. You have to believe that the body, the soul, and the spirit of Jesus is in that little cookie, and then you have to eat it. Now, before they eat it, they put this in a monstrance, and then they carry it around on a procession on Christ's Blood Day. because this is the point where they said, okay, you know, this is such a mystery that it is impossible to explain how the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, is able to come into a man, okay, and he becomes Christ. How is this possible? And how is this possible, you know, to communicate with this Holy Spirit and to communicate with Christ and, you know, to eat? Now, this is the biggest discussion between Protestants, evangelicals, and the Catholic Church, that the Protestants say, okay, this is actually, it's just a symbol. It's just the bread and the wine is just a symbol. But the Catholics, they say, no, you actually have to believe that you eat the flesh and that you drink the blood. And this, of course, is not only totally forbidden according to Torah, according to New Testament, you know, it's preposterous. It's absolutely preposterous, but this is a whole mystery around this. And if you do not believe this as a Catholic, you are actually anathema. You are cursed. You are a cursed person if you do not believe this. Now, I did not believe this, but I told you in the first part that I received the Spirit in a way where I said, okay, in a way that I stood up and went to Jerusalem and did various things. Now, everybody who knows me from Israel, from that time, you know, I really have to ask is, how is this possible that a normal guy, without anything, without organization, as a private person, as Ulf, coming to Israel and do things nobody did before? All right? Now, today, I know, I said, this is very nice. I can say that, you know, I don't know who else can say this, you know, everybody who was born on this day, he can say, yes, I am the incarnated secret of the Eucharist. Wow, okay, wow. Now, because of this, you know, I believe that the Pope, he wants to know that secret. He wants to know this secret, what I'm about to tell you. Now, I told already various other people between 1st January and that the Sun Eclipse. Now, the Sun Eclipse, if you take a look, there are basically two verses. One is in Joel, and one is in Matthew 24, yeah, where Jesus talks about the tribulation is coming, and he says, right after the tribulation, you know, after the tribulation, you will see that the sun darkens and the moon will be blood, will darken too, all right? Now, in Joel it says, once you saw that, then the great and terrible day of the Lord is coming, all right? Now, the last combination with these blood moons were in 67 at my birth, and the first blood moon was short before my birthday on 24/4, and on 24/4, yeah, it's the birthday. It's a birthday of the law Dei Filius. The Son of God, and this is the law from 1870, short before it was with the First Vatican Council, and it's a law which made, at the end of the day, the Pope infallible. Infallible, all right? Now, this is the day of the blood moon, and it's also the date of my father's birthday, and it is also the day where I had an accident, and since then I'm literally limping with the hip of Jacob. Now, I can show you where this actually is written in the Bible, but for a later place, you know, for a later stage. So because of the dates, and because I said, wow, what happened here? So what I did on this day, I went through Berlin, and I show you now, I put this in now. So I went through the Berlin and blew the shofar at various places. And when I came back, exactly at the spot where I started, somebody was actually stabbed and there was blood on the floor. I mean, this was the most shocking thing. It was the most shocking thing. And I said, well, wait a second. I mean, when this happens, what else will happen? So I became a bit more active, and on 24/4, I started with Mo and Martin together this Ephraim's Place. It was our first community. Today you can access this community under members.ephraimrising.tv, as I said in the beginning. We used a different platform back then, but our thing was directly, I said, okay, now when 25/5 is coming up, there are various events in Jerusalem which are absolutely astonishing. They're absolutely astonishing. Now, when I woke up, I didn't know about this. When I called Ephraim Frank, I didn't know about this. But on 25/5, 2015, okay, when Jerusalem, we remember the promise of Ephraim is in chapter 48, and now Jerusalem turned 48. And because of the different calendar alignments, only every 19 years actually the calendars are overlapping, and on that day you had Pentecost and Shavuot on the same day. All right, and the date moved. So when I was born, it was several days before Six-Day War and before the first free Shavuot. But this is now 48 years Shavuot in Jerusalem, and corresponds actually, with Ephraim also being 48 in the 48th chapter, and parallel you should read Isaiah 48. Now. So I knew that on this day, it's a very special day, and there was the Empowerment 21 movement conference. 4,500 people actually were later on in Jerusalem, and at the same time, it was the first Bnei Etz Yosef conference in Ariel. Organized by my friend Ephraim Frank, whom I told in the beginning, I said, Ephraim, you have to take a look at this, And honestly, guys, here at this stage, I was so shocked, I didn't know, how do I tell this? I mean, this is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. But because I then started, blowing the shofar in Berlin on exactly in the second where the Sun Eclipse came up, I went through the city. I said, okay, something will happen here on 25/5, and I really, really wanted to come to Jerusalem. But anybody I contacted, he said, "Oh, you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy. No, you're crazy, you're crazy." No. So what did I do on 25/5? So on 25/5, I took my shofar. Yeah, I took my shofar. And everybody who knows anything about shofars, this is a very special shofar, because that's the type of shofar which you have to blow on Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur every 50 years, where there is a total forgiveness of sin, where the high priest goes out and starts blowing the shofar. All right? Now, and I said, okay, I will go into the city of Berlin now, and the strongholds have to fall. And I show you now 2 clips on where I have been. So first I went to the Holocaust Memorial, because the dry bones, they have to live, and they have to come out of the forgiveness. So the dry bones have to live, and there will be a resurrection. So I went to the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin. Now after that, So, and please, think about this. On the same day, while, everybody I told, guys, please talk to me. Let's do something. I don't know how to cope with this, but I know that I have to fix issues. Okay, it's about Yom Kippur. We have to fix issues. Things are coming. Please, please, please. They didn't listen, and they made their conferences. And then I went to the seat of Satan and blew the shofar again. And then I made this little message, and I show you now. So here we enter the courtyard of the Pergamon Museum, and as you can see, it's very nice and pretty. We have here for die deutsche Kunst. All looks very Roman to me. Yeah, there is actually no difference between old Rome and this what you see here. That when you take a look at Revelation, that there is currently things are going on which are happening right now here in Berlin. And as of 2015, the seat of Satan is under renovation for 4 years, and at the same time we have major prophetic events happening right now. So please stay tuned and sign up definitely for EphraimRising.tv, because the restoration of the Kingdom of Israel is in connection with this place here, with Berlin, with Germany, and of course with Jerusalem. All right. What happened on this day? And I said, okay, you can, believe, not believe. This is what happened. Okay. Now, on that day, a volcano erupted. All right, and I show you now a picture where this is. So you see on the picture, first of all, the island looks like a shin. All right, the island looks like a shin. And on the upper right corner, there is the volcano Ulf. He exploded. His name, Wolf, okay? Ulf gleich Wolf. All right? Now, if you wonder, and I try to explain this, to some Kabbalists and everything, my really name in Hebrew, of course, is Ulf. It's Aleph, all right? So, and in various places you read about an Aleph. It can be Aleph, Aluf, Aleph, so, but it's all written Ulf. Yeah, but the meaning in English is wolf. Okay. Now that volcano exploded right on the island of Isabel and above of the island of Darwin in the Galapagos Island. And that island is quite important. Why? Because on 20 February 1835 or something like this, I think it was 1835, there was a large earthquake which destroyed the city Senuncion, something like this. It was a center of Jesuit Catholicism for South America, which was totally, absolute leveled to the ground. And Darwin at that time visited the Galapagos as he found the first time like fossils and came up with the whole theory of the origins of species, and that you actually come from a monkey. Now, I don't believe that I come from a monkey. I come, the Lord actually formed me before, beautifully in the womb. Before the foundation of the earth, I was written in the book of life, like many of you too. All right. So, but this is where the volcano exploded. And you see on the landing page we have Playas de los Alemanes, the German beach, all right? Now, just when you take a look at what this island is all about, then you find out the biggest problem. You have Isabel, Isis, Mitra, like liberty, you have in the States, it's a goddess, okay? In the Bible, of course, Isabel is, not such a great woman. And today, through feminism, gender, and so on, we are listening too much we are in a woman's society and not in a society of fathers. So this is one of the issues. Now the second issue is, of course, who created the earth? Was it like by chance, as Darwin says, and people from the UN and all these guys who promote Darwin, okay, or was it created by God? And just on this day, the volcano exploded. So now, talking about confirmation, but this is twice in the Bible. This is twice in the Bible, once in Joel and once in Acts, that there will be smokes, pillar of fire, and, it's there. And that happened on this day. So now I hope you understand why I cannot, under no circumstances, back up from this issue. It's totally impossible. Totally impossible. Now, on that day, I declared, after, being 21 years of believer, I said, wow, 21, empowerment 21. Yeah, I became empowered. After 21 years, I can now fulfill my vows to the Lord and created, as I said before, the Ephraim priesthood of the order of Melchizedek. All right. And at the same time, because I told you already before, we have since 11 years the Ephraim National Fund. We need good and sound money from gold and silver. We made like an exchange into the kingdom, kingdom and economy based on silver, gold, and shekels. Shekel is the weight. And this was declared on 25/5, and I made this public. All right. And then, of course, a lot of things happened. Suddenly, the Commonwealth of Israel came up. Now we have an upcoming conference. And when I saw that the blood moon is actually here the next blood moon is Jerusalem, I actually wanted to come. And on the 2nd of September, I came to the Israeli border with the shofar actually in my hand. And was grabbed by the Shin Bet, and they said, no, Ulf, you cannot come in. Well, because you said some stuff. I said, oh, what did I say? All right. And I told them, I said, okay, basically we are talking about here some theological issue. A theological issue. So they were afraid that I'm going up to the Temple Mount, because at some point I said, yeah, this is what's going to happen. At some point, somebody, me, it doesn't matter, not just by chance. No. And this was my first argument. I won't do anything to harm any trouble, but I want to confront people and say, listen, there are clear indications in the Bible what God wants to do. Now, and if you take a look in Zechariah 3, it's Yehoshua the high priest, he gets a thing, and then he gets a stone. And then God says he wants to forgive all the sins on one day. On one day. When would this be? When would this be? And this is Yom Kippur, according to everything, it's Jubilee, Jerusalem Jubilee, 5777. It's Yom Kippur, 2017. 2017. That's Yom Kippur. All right. Now on 25/5/17 is the day which we have tomorrow. Tomorrow is Ascension Day, Christ's Ascension Day, and on that day I will turn 50. I will turn 50. Now, so my intention, my totally absolute intention with good heart, I want to make peace in Jerusalem. I want to make peace with any group there is out there, and replace the Pope and the Roman law system with Ephraim, with the true priest of the Most High, and Torah. Now the way how this can be done is via a Yom Kippur. Because since the time of the Second Temple, we did not have a Yom Kippur. And not only when I turn 50, according to Leviticus 25, I should have a Yom Kippur. I should not be in fight with anybody, not about doctrine and so on and so on, not at all, not at all. But I want to have a new covenant, an honestly new covenant, because if you take a look in Jeremiah 31, you see after God became a father to Israel, Ephraim is his firstborn son. And then you can actually see through, Rachel is wondering, where are my children? Where are my children? Where are they? But then they're coming up. God says in chapter 31:20, he says, okay, isn't Ephraim my beloved son? Isn't he my beloved child? Though I have been angry, I still have to remember him. And then he's coming out and he makes a new covenant between Israel and Judah. That's the first part. But there is also a second part, because the house of Israel, currently hidden under the Pope in the church, totally lost in their transgression, far away from the kingdom, far away from Torah, far away from everything, they need also a new covenant so that the Torah is put into their minds and into their heart. All right, so that you don't look anymore on the letters and you have to fulfill little tiny laws or so. No, that you know. First of all, you know God. First of all, you know God. It's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the God of Ephraim. My God, the God of my forefathers. Okay, and once you are filled with the Spirit, He will lead you into all truth. Okay, and the truth is that God, honestly, He wants to have peace in Jerusalem. Okay, He wants to have peace in Jerusalem. So, on this date, when I turned 49, and it's very interesting, I talked last week to Chuck King. I didn't talk to him, but I listened to some of his songs again, and one of the, it really touched my heart, because they're the Psalms of Ascent. When you go up to Jerusalem, you have the Psalm of Ascent. And I was shocked to learn that from 2007, to this time, everything what was happening in the Psalms is actually went parallel to my life. And everybody who has been on my 40th birthday, please read Psalm 40. In the scroll is written of me. And for some people this might be like a total shock. But what can I say? Ulf, Aleph, it's written in the Bible, for sure. Check out Daniel 7 verse 10. That's Aleph Alpine. Now, so on this day, Ephraim, the society I created here, this one will become 1 year old. 1 year old, and I'm seeking a recognition. Because I'm not a Lutheran, I found out, I got like a piece of paper now from my tax authorities here in Germany. They said, no, you're a Lutheran, you have to pay taxes. Now, according to the Lutheran faith, I'm actually under death penalty. As I told you in the first part, I'm actually under death penalty, and this cannot be. So as a Lutheran, I said, wow, this is pretty cool. First of all, I can protest again, because on the end of the year, 31st of October this year, the Pope wants to come to the Lutheran Association and they want to celebrate, together, like the secret of the Eucharist, and they want to have a joint communion service. Okay, the joint communions have participate in the body, and nobody protested about this. I want to go and protest. Now, for example, our president here in Germany, he is a Lutheran. So, as a Lutheran, I actually do have rights. Okay? I do have rights as a German. Now, secondly, I have rights in Israel, because my children are born there. And in this sense, I was very, very happy, to see my friend Ian Jupp. I went from 96 to 97, so when I started my ministry, when I was 30, I started my ministry coming out of the Bible college, and I went into Jerusalem and talked with people about Jesus, about the Bible, every week. He started now also a new website called Return to Zion. Return to Zion, and this is my absolute goal, return to Zion. I want to go back. I want to go back. This is my home. This is the home of my kids. They are born there and they cannot live here under these circumstances. Totally impossible. Okay? Now the only place where I believe I can go to is actually the Israeli High Court. Because the Israeli High Court is supersedes any other law, so also religious law, but they are also responsible for all types of family laws, inheritance, and so on and so on and so on. So, and I want to use my rights as Ephraim with my kids, and I want to make my case. I absolutely want to make my case. So, additionally, I have things in America. I have rights in America because of my company, because of my partnerships there. And there are some open issues. They have to perhaps go through the lawyer, or, something like this. I don't know. But nevertheless, what I'm telling you that me as a single person with my kids, with my family situation, with stuff like this, on a very, very, very natural way, I have a right into all these countries where there are currently problems, and I have a right to find out, okay, what happened to the doctrines of Martin Luther and what happens with the Pope. All right? Now there, I absolutely need your help. I need your help. I need your help. I need your testimony. I need the witnesses who saw for the last 22 years what I actually did. And I did not only quite a number of things, one of the issues I'm really going for is that, already in 1998, this is, I started creating magazines. This is the first Israel Monthly. And to make this clear, I actually produced, I think, the first Word from Jerusalem as a publishing company, and later on bring this word from Jerusalem, made it the name of the publication for the ICEJ. I was called by Johann Lückhoff. Before Yogi came, before Doron came, before some other people came, and basically I created everything, surrounding the word from Jerusalem. So it's a private endeavor, Now in the same year, I created as the first guy, here I had the domain torah.de. So literally I was bringing out the Torah from Zion. So according to my understanding, and according to the confirmation I just showed you and I received, okay, being born as a secret of the Eucharist, going out and within 7 years, create something nobody did before. I mean, Luther wrote about the Jews and their lies, and I wrote, please, please, please keep Torah. Please keep Torah. And there are witnesses in there. Jürgen Bühler wrote something in there. Doron Schneider, he is now the spokesman in the still the spokesman in the ICEJ. So the whole thing was done by Revolution Media. So Ian Jupp, this is a company you created. I helped you with. We've been together. So this is absolutely up to date. Up to date. Now, according to Jeremiah 2 and Micah 4, all right, the one who brings forth the Torah from Zion and the word from Jerusalem will judge the nations. All right, will judge the nations. The whole thing sorts into plowshares is one of the common things of the UN. It's written in there. The Russians, they have a monument called swords to plowshares, because they're looking for peace. But peace can only be reached when there is peace in Jerusalem, and the question of the Pope is cleared. So now, I ask you, I urge you, I beg you, I pray that you understand, not only my intention, but that everything what is happening is really written in the Bible. It's really written in the Bible. And so the secret, of course, is that we are the sons of God. I mean, the Bible clearly states, when in Hosea, at the place where they are said, you are not my people, there will be called sons of the living God. Now it also says in Micah, in the prophet of Micah, that the elders, they have to go back to Babylon. They have to go for Babylon because there is a salvation. And currently I do actually live in Babylon. I showed you the picture, greetings from Babylon, greetings from the seat of Satan. This is where I'm sitting. And in a way, you really, really have to do this because now Israel, doesn't know. There are various rumors going on. People talk about it. They say various stupid things about me. But brethren, what can I say? Jerusalem is my home. Jerusalem is my home. And how do you actually, does anybody really believe after all the things I did that God is forgetting about me? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Now, one of the issues I stated was that, I received, in quotation, the white stone in Revelation 2. In Revelation 2, you can read this. It's for a guy who sits there where Satan is, where the seat of Satan is, and he's an overcomer. And he did not, he's an antipas. He is against everything. And after all the tribulation, he receives a white stone with a new name nobody knows except him. Now, the whole thing with the name, with the whole name, is a character. It's a character. And it's a person. It's a person. Okay, and the name on that stone I receive is Ephraim. And according to my understanding, and with many witnesses of 21 years, I am exactly what the Bible says I should be. Priest of the Most High. I brought forth the Torah from Zion. I brought the word from Jerusalem. I want to make peace with my brother Judah. I want to clear up, what's happening here with that Antichrist who's sitting there. And I really want to help the nations to get along with each other. Because this Yom Kippur is the biggest chance for mankind in this time to clear up the big mess our forefathers did. And this is where I ask you for your full support. Please contact me, talk to me, and perhaps, I'm preparing right now, whatever you decide, I'm preparing right now the proper documentations for Israeli High Court because I want to come back, and because of my kids, I'm a peaceful guy. I never beat anybody. I got beaten, but I never beat anybody. I'm not a violent guy. I'm not a violent guy because I believe that words are much stronger than any sword. And over the next weeks, I'm preparing this, and then from that day onward, my full-time position, this is all what I'm going to do, is to fulfill this role as Ephraim, as high priest. That's not as high priest, forget this, it's as priest. As priest. High priest is only one. There's also only one invisible king, the king of Israel, who is our Father in heaven. And the kingdom, left basically. I mean, Ephraim had this position with Samuel. Samuel was an Ephraimite, and then all the tribes came and said, "Now we want to have another. We want to have a king. We want a king. We want to be like everybody else, But that's we don't want to have a person. We don't want to have God as our king. We don't want to have the God of Abraham, Isaac as Jacob of our king. And then Ephraim, Samuel thought, they reject me. No, they didn't reject Ephraim. They rejected God. Now, I hope now that you don't do that. I hope that you see that something is onto it. I urge you to look deeper into the secret of the Eucharist, okay? And make a covenant with me. Make a covenant with me. Make a covenant for peace. Sign up for Ephraim. Make a registration so that I know that you accepted what I'm about to do. That you stand behind me. That you know how to pray for me, and so on. Because there are some things you cannot do. I have to do them. I have to do them. Now, and as crazy as this sounds, I know it sounds crazy. It is as true as it is. It is as true as it is. There are witnesses over witnesses over witnesses. Now the question is, do you believe the word of God, or do you believe, the rules and regulations of the Antichrist? Now, please make peace, make a new covenant with me, make business with me, come into contact with me, and I hope that it will be a great, great blessing. I'm telling you already now, as I said before, when I started, the whole process, I believe, will end Yom Kippur 2017. So all the prophetic signs in the world, they're set, for something big to happen. Everybody is talking about it. And the biggest thing ever could happen if the lost son is coming home. So please help me with this. Be a part of this. Be blessed. And see you later.